Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
We're going deep today, really deep into the world of hidden tech manipulation.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about how those tools we use every day, things like search engines and those suggestions,
Right.
even those helpful voice assistants, might be subtly shaping our thoughts and choices without us even knowing it.
Kind of unsettling when you think about it, right?
It is unsettling.
Like, we think we're in control, making our own decisions.
Right.
But what if we're being nudged in a direction that we haven't consciously chosen?
Exactly. And to guide us through this digital maze,
Yeah.
we're diving into the research of Dr. Robert Epstein,
Okay.
who is a psychologist who has spent years studying this phenomenon.
Right.
And he doesn't just theorize about it.
Uh-huh.
He actually runs experiments, gathers data,
Yeah.
heart numbers percentages that show just how much influence these tech giants can have.
What I find so compelling about Dr. Epstein's work is that he's not just pointing fingers.
Right.
He's providing concrete evidence.
Hard evidence.
He's actually measured the extent to which companies like Google can sway our opinions, even on things as significant as elections.
Exactly. And speaking of search engines, that's where we're going to start our deep dive.
Okay.
I mean, we all use them, right?
Yeah, of course.
You type in a question, you get a list of results.
Right.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Seems like it.
But Dr. Epstein suggests it's anything but.
You would think a search engine just delivers neutral results based on your query.
Right.
But Dr. Epstein's research indicates that Google, with its massive market share,
Huge market share.
has the power to not just curate what we see,
Right.
but also to actively suppress information they deem undesirable.
Okay, hold on. Undesirable. Who gets to decide that?
Right.
What are their criteria? It feels a bit like someone else is deciding what we should and shouldn't see.
That's exactly the concern Dr. Epstein raises.
Right.
He argues that these decisions lack transparency.
Right.
We don't know who's making them, what their biases might be, or how those biases might be shaping the information we're exposed to.
Right.
He even claims Google maintains these blacklists of websites and organizations
Wow.
that they can effectively make invisible to the average user.
So it's not just about what we see.
Right.
It's also about what we don't see.
Correct.
That's a bit unnerving.
It is.
What happens when those decisions align with the political leanings of the company's executives?
That's a key question Dr. Epstein explores.
Yeah.
He points out that there's a potential conflict of interest when the people controlling the information we access
Right.
also have strong political affiliations.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we need to be a little more critical of those search results.
Yeah.
But you'd think that's where the manipulation ends, right?
I think so.
But Dr. Epstein's research suggests it goes way beyond the results themselves.
Beyond the results.
Even those seemingly helpful search suggestions that pop up as you type,
Oh, yeah.
those can be manipulated too.
Absolutely. He's conducted experiments showing that manipulating these suggestions can actually sway undecided voters
Really?
by a huge margin, sometimes even shifting a 50-50 split to a 90-10 split in favor of one candidate,
Wow. Just by changing the suggestion.
just by changing the suggestions.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, we think we're making independent choices,
Yeah.
but it sounds like we're being subtly steered toward a particular outcome.
That's the power of subtle suggestion, right?
Yeah.
It can prime our thinking, making us more likely to follow a particular path without even realizing we're being influenced.
And Dr. Epstein says this manipulation starts with the very first character you type into the search bar, right?
Uh-huh.
He gives that fascinating example of how Google prioritizes certain advertisers
Oh, wow.
based on just the initial letter of your search.
It's a subtle but powerful way to connect their business interests to the information they present,
Right.
even in features that appear to be objective tools.
Right.
It really blurs the lines between a neutral search engine and a platform pushing a particular agenda.
So we've talked about search results and suggestions,
Okay.
but what about the algorithms themselves?
Right.
Aren't those supposed to be neutral, just mathematical equations doing their thing?
That's a common assumption, but Dr. Epstein argues that algorithms are inherently biased
Okay.
because they're created by humans who have their own values, beliefs, and agendas.
Interesting.
Those biases can seep into the algorithms, even if unintentionally.
So even if an algorithm is designed to be objective,
Right.
the biases of its creators can still creep in and influence the outcomes.
That's right.
That's a little disturbing.
It is. And Dr. Epstein has uncovered ways in which these algorithms can be manipulated to favor certain outcomes.
Uh-huh.
For example, there's the search engine manipulation effect,
Right.
where certain candidates or parties are subtly pushed to the top of search results,
Push to the top.
giving them an unfair advantage.
So that's sort of like what we were talking about with the search suggestions. But on a much bigger scale and potentially with even less transparency.
Exactly. It's harder to detect and even harder to prove.
So how do we even know this is happening?
Well, Dr. Epstein has even found instances of rogue programmers within Google
Well, wait.
who can single-handedly alter content and potentially sway public opinion without anyone knowing.
Hold on, rogue programmers. That sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, but if it's true,
Right.
that's incredibly concerning.
It is.
It suggests that there's a real lack of oversight and accountability within these tech giants.
Yeah. It raises some serious questions about who's really in control
Right.
and how much power they wield. And it highlights the need for greater transparency and independent monitoring to ensure that these technologies are being used ethically and responsibly.
Absolutely.
Speaking of elections, isn't there something called the differential demographics effect?
Yeah.
How does that play into all of this?
So this effect shows how seemingly neutral actions can have a biased impact. For example, Google, with its predominantly Democrat user base,
Okay.
can subtly benefit that party simply by promoting get out the vote messages to all its users.
Well, encouraging people to vote seems like a good thing, right?
It is.
What's the problem with that?
The problem is that it can create an uneven playing field, even if that wasn't the intention,
Right.
because of the demographics of their user base.
Yeah.
This seemingly unbiased action can disproportionately benefit one party over another.
So even if the intention is good,
Right.
the outcome can still be biased.
That's right.
It seems like we're walking a very fine line here
We are.
between helpful technology and potentially harmful manipulation.
Absolutely. And it's a line we need to be very careful not to cross.
Right.
It's crucial to be aware of these subtle forms of influence.
Yeah.
And to demand greater transparency from the companies that control these powerful platforms.
This is all pretty heavy stuff.
It is.
We've talked about search results, suggestions, algorithms,
Yeah.
and even the demographics of user bases. It's starting to feel like we're not really in control of our own online experiences.
Right.
But you know what's even more insidious?
What's that?
Those online quizzes
Oh, yeah.
that are supposed to help you make up your mind.
Right.
They seem so harmless. Just a fun way to learn about yourself.
Right. You stumble across one on a political website or even a dating app,
Right.
thinking it's just a bit of entertainment.
Right. Exactly.
But Dr. Epstein's research has revealed something quite shocking about these quizzes.
So here's where it gets really interesting and a little creepy.
Okay.
Many of these quizzes are completely ignoring your answers
Yeah.
and just feeding you the outcome they want you to see.
Oh, wow.
It's like a magic trick, but with potentially serious consequences.
It is. They create this illusion of a personalized assessment while subtly manipulating you toward a predetermined conclusion.
And to make it even more convincing, they use tactics like timers and computing delays
Right.
to make it seem like your answers are being analyzed. But in reality, they're just smoke and mirrors designed to hide the manipulation taking place.
Exactly. And it raises the question, are we truly making our own decisions?
Yeah.
Or are we being steered toward outcomes that someone else has decided for us?
That's a pretty unsettling thought.
It is.
It makes you wonder just how much of our online experience is genuinely our own,
Right.
and how much is being shaped by forces we're not even aware of.
It's a question we all need to be asking ourselves, and it's a question that Dr. Epstein's work forces us to confront head on.
It does.
Are we truly autonomous in our digital lives?
Right.
Or are we being subtly manipulated in ways we haven't even begun to imagine?
Okay. We need to take a moment to process all of this. We've just scratched the surface of Dr. Epstein's research.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to unpack, but we'll dive even deeper into this rabbit hole of tech manipulation when we come back.
Yeah, it really is mind-boggling when you start to think about the sheer scale of this manipulation.
I know, right?
It's not just about one search result or one quiz.
Right.
It's happening across the entire digital landscape.
And it's not just those obvious things like search engines and social media, right?
Right.
Dr. Epstein's research also delves into those seemingly harmless voice assistants.
Oh, yeah.
Like Amazon's Alexa.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you ask a question, you get an answer. What could be wrong with that?
It seems innocent enough on the surface.
Right.
But Dr. Epstein found that even a single question and answer interaction with Alexa could shift opinions
Seriously.
within a group of undecided people by a staggering 40% or more.
Wait, One interaction. That seems impossible.
Yeah.
How can just hearing an answer to a question have that much of an impact?
It's subtle, but it's all about how the information is framed.
Okay.
The way an answer is phrased, the tone of voice used,
Right.
even the order in which information is presented. All of these things can subtly influence our perceptions.
So even if the information itself is factually accurate,
Right.
the way it's delivered can still manipulate us. That's kind of scary. We're putting so much trust in these devices,
Right.
assuming they're giving us unbiased information.
Exactly. And most people have no idea this is happening.
Right.
They trust these devices to be neutral, not realizing that the answers they're getting might be subtly skewed to influence their thinking.
It's like we're inviting this wolf in sheep's clothing into our homes.
Yeah.
Letting it whisper in our ears, shaping our views without us even knowing it.
That's a powerful image and a very apt one. And Dr. Epstein found that the impact can be even greater when multiple questions are asked on the same topic over time.
Oh, wow.
The manipulation can shift opinions by as much as 65% or more.
65%. That's a huge swing.
It is.
It's starting to feel like we're not even in control of our own minds anymore.
It does challenge our assumptions about free will, doesn't it?
It does.
And it raises some serious ethical questions about the power these tech companies have over our thoughts and beliefs.
So Dr. Epstein is doing this incredible work exposing all of this manipulation. But what's the solution? What can we do to protect ourselves from these hidden tactics?
Well, the first step is awareness.
Okay.
We need to educate ourselves and others about these subtle forms of manipulation. Knowledge is power. And once we understand how these tactics work,
Right.
we can start to see them for what they are.
That makes sense. But how do you force a company like Google to be more transparent?
Right.
They're notoriously secretive, aren't they?
They are. That's where those independent monitoring systems come in.
Okay.
By tracking what real users are seeing in real time, we can expose these manipulative tactics and hopefully deter them.
But wouldn't that require a massive surveillance effort?
Yeah,
It sounds a bit Orwellian, doesn't it?
it does.
Like we're fighting fire with fire.
It's a delicate balance for sure.
Right.
There's a tension between protecting privacy and exposing manipulation, but Dr. Epstein argues that a representative sample of users,
Okay.
similar to what Nielsen does with television ratings, could provide valuable insights without invading the privacy of every single person.
So we're talking about collecting data on how people are using these platforms.
Right.
But in a way that respects their privacy.
Exactly. It's not about monitoring individuals. It's about understanding the broader patterns of manipulation
Okay.
that are happening across these platforms.
So it sounds like we're talking about a major shift in how we think about technology and its impact on society.
We can't just passively accept whatever these companies throw at us.
Right.
We need to be more critical, more demanding, and more proactive in shaping the digital world we want to live in.
Okay, this has been incredibly eye-opening, but I have to be honest, it's a little overwhelming.
I understand.
It feels like we're up against these massive, powerful corporations.
It can feel that way.
Where do we even begin to address all of this?
That's a great question, and it's one we'll explore further in just a moment. We'll look at some specific steps you can take to reclaim your digital autonomy and protect yourself from these subtle forms of manipulation. But first, we need to dig a little deeper into something Dr. Epstein calls ephemeral experiences.
Ephemeral experiences. I'm not familiar with that term.
Right.
What exactly does that mean?
These are those fleeting interactions we have online.
Okay.
The search results, the news feeds, the answers from our voice assistants, they have a profound impact on us in the moment, but then they vanish without a trace.
Like a whisper in the wind.
Yeah.
They're there and then they're gone. But the impact can linger.
Precisely. And that's the problem.
Okay.
These ephemeral experiences can shape our thoughts and behaviors.
Yeah.
But they're incredibly difficult to track or regulate because they disappear so quickly.
So how do we even begin to address something that's so fleeting and intangible?
Right.
It feels like trying to catch smoke.
It is a challenge, and it's one of the reasons Dr. Epstein believes these independent monitoring systems are so crucial. They would allow us to capture these ephemeral experiences,
Right.
to see the patterns of manipulation that are happening in real time,
Yeah.
even if the individual interactions disappear.
So it sounds like he's talking about building a whole new infrastructure for accountability in the digital world.
He is. It's a bold vision, but one that I think is absolutely necessary.
Okay.
If we want to create a digital world that serves humanity not the other way around.
It's a lot to take in, but it feels like we're just getting started.
We are.
There's so much more to explore. We'll be right back after a quick break to continue our deep dive into the world of tech manipulation. Okay, I'm still processing everything we've talked about, those search manipulations and the algorithms, those sneaky quizzes, even our voice assistants. It's a lot to take in. But I think the big question for me, and probably for a lot of our listeners, is what can we actually do about it?
Yeah.
It feels like we're up against these giant corporations with almost unlimited power.
I get that it's easy to feel powerless,
Right.
but the fact that you're listening to this, you know that you're engaging with these ideas is already a step in the right direction.
Okay.
Awareness is the first line of defense.
So just knowing about these tactics makes us less susceptible to them.
Exactly. Think of it like a magic trick.
Okay.
Once you know how the illusion works, it loses its power.
Right.
The same goes for these tech manipulations. Once you understand the techniques, you can start to spot them and resist their influence.
That makes sense. So awareness is key, but what else can we do?
Be a critical consumer of information. Question what you see online, especially when it comes from sources you don't fully trust.
Okay.
Don't just blindly accept everything you read or watch. Think about the source, the agenda, the potential biases.
So basically, we need to become more discerning about the information we consume, and I guess that means diversifying our sources right,
Absolutely.
not just getting all our news and information from one platform or one perspective.
Right. The more diverse your information diet, the less likely you are to be swayed by manipulation from any single source. Seek out alternative viewpoints, even those that challenge your own beliefs.
Right.
It's the best way to get a more balanced and nuanced understanding of any issue.
And what about those personalized recommendations and algorithms? I mean, they're designed to keep us engaged,
Right.
but they can also trap us in these filter bubbles and echo chambers
Yeah.
where we're only exposed to information that reinforces our existing beliefs.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges of the digital age.
Right.
We need to be aware of this filter bubble effect and actively seek out information that challenges our worldviews.
So step outside our comfort zone.
Exactly. Don't let the algorithms dictate what you see and hear. Step outside your comfort zone and explore different perspectives.
Okay, so diversify your sources.
Yeah.
Be critical of the information you encounter and break out of your filter bubble.
Got it. What about those online quizzes?
Oh, yeah.
I used to love those things, but now I'm looking at them with a whole new level of skepticism.
Rightfully so. Not all quizzes are created equal. Be cautious of those that make grand claims about revealing hidden truths about yourself.
Right. They might be cleverly disguised manipulation tools.
So think before you click and be wary of those too good to be true promises.
Mm-hmm.
What about privacy settings?
Oh, yeah.
I'm guilty of just clicking accept without really reading the fine print.
That's something we all need to be more mindful of. Take control of your privacy settings. Don't just blindly agree to every data request.
Right.
Be selective about which apps and websites you allow to track your activity. Think about the information you're sharing and whether you're comfortable with how it's being used.
And if we're concerned about those ephemeral experiences, those fleeting digital interactions that vanish without a trace, what can we do? It feels like fighting an invisible enemy.
It is a tough one, unfortunately. There's no easy solution to that problem. But one thing we can do is support the development of those independent monitoring systems we discussed earlier.
Okay.
The ones that can track what real users are seeing in real time, even if the individual interactions disappear.
So it sounds like Dr. Epstein's vision for a nationwide monitoring system, similar to Nielsen readings for the internet, could be a step in the right direction.
It's an ambitious goal, but as he's shown with his own research, it's not impossible, and it might be the key to exposing and deterring these manipulative tactics on a larger scale.
So it's not just about technology, it's about us, the users.
Right.
We need to be more aware, more critical, and more proactive about protecting our digital autonomy.
That's exactly right. Technology can be a powerful tool, but it's up to us to use it wisely and ethically.
Right.
We can't let ourselves become passive consumers, mindlessly accepting whatever information is fed to us.
Right, we need to be active participants in shaping our digital world. It sounds like we have a lot of work to do, but
Yeah.
it's work worth doing.
Absolutely. And remember, you're not alone in this. There are researchers like Dr. Epstein, organizations dedicated to digital rights, and countless individuals who are fighting for a more ethical and transparent digital world.
So keep asking questions, keep digging deeper, and keep demanding better from the companies that control so much of our digital lives.
That's the spirit. This is just the beginning of the conversation. We encourage you to continue exploring this topic, learn more, and share what you've learned with others.
Because together we can create a digital world that serves humanity, not the other way around. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and stay vigilant.